Picture two people in the same room. One is doing everything right, or at least everything they think is right. They're talking loudly, dropping names, laughing at every joke, agreeing with everyone, making sure they're seen and heard. They're working the room hard. The other person? They're sitting quietly. They speak only when they have something to say. They don't chase anyone's attention. They don't try to impress anybody. And yet, somehow, everyone in that room gravitates toward the second person. People remember what they said. People ask for their opinion. People treat them differently, almost without realizing why. So what's actually happening here? Here's what it's not. It's not charisma. It's not looks. It's not how much money they have, how impressive their resume is, or how naturally confident they were born. And it's definitely not because they're the smartest person in the room. The difference comes down to 7 tiny behavioral habits. Habits so small, so overlooked, that most people scroll right past them. But the people who practice them, they walk into rooms and something shifts. People listen. People remember. People respect. And before we get into all 7, pay very close attention when we reach habit number 7. Because that one is different. That's the habit that separates the people pleasers from the people who command respect without ever asking for it. These aren't personality transplants. They're not fake confidence tricks. They work whether you're shy, introverted, 22, or 52, starting from 0. By the end of this video, you'll have a complete, science-backed blueprint for earning real respect, and it costs nothing and starts working the moment you apply it. Don't skip ahead. Each habit builds on the last. Miss number 7, and you'll miss the whole thing. Let's get into it. First of all, let's clear something up before we go any further. Most people confuse respect with likability. They treat them like they're the same thing. They're not. Not even close. Likability is surface level. It's warm, it's pleasant, and it fades fast. It's built on agreeableness, laughing at the right moments, never saying anything controversial, making sure nobody feels uncomfortable. People like you today and forget you by Thursday. Respect is completely different. Respect is deep. It compounds. It sticks. And it's built on 3 things that social psychologists have identified across decades of research on status and influence: competence, warmth, and consistency. You know what you're doing. You genuinely care about people. And you're the same person whether anyone is watching or not. Here's where most people get it wrong. They spend their entire lives chasing likability, agreeing with everyone, softening every opinion, never rocking the boat, and then wonder why nobody takes them seriously. Why they get overlooked. Why their ideas get ignored even when they're good. Because here's what happens when you make likability your goal. You become forgettable, safe, invisible. Respected people do the opposite. They have opinions. They set boundaries. They don't need your approval to feel okay about themselves. And paradoxically, that's exactly what makes people drawn to them. You can be liked today and irrelevant tomorrow. But respect? Once you earn it, people seek your opinion, remember your name, and open doors for you without being asked. So if respect isn't about being liked, what is it actually about? It's about 7 micro habits that quietly signal strength, self-respect, and intentionality. Every single day. Habit number 1, the 3-second pause before speaking. Here's the smallest habit on this list, and one of the most powerful. Before you respond to anything, a question, a challenge, an opinion, pause for 3 seconds. That's it. Just 3 seconds of silence before you open your mouth. It sounds almost too simple, but watch what happens when you do it. Most people are terrified of silence. The moment a question lands, they rush to fill the gap, talking fast, stumbling over words, saying whatever comes first just to avoid that uncomfortable pause. That reactivity signals anxiety. It signals that you're not fully in control. Respected people let silence breathe. Research on executive presence consistently shows that deliberate speech patterns, pausing before speaking, choosing words carefully, increase perceived authority by up to 40%. Your words didn't change. Your idea didn't change. Just the delivery. And suddenly people lean in differently. Here's the brain science behind it. When you pause before responding, you activate your prefrontal cortex, the rational, strategic part of your brain. When you rush, you're operating from your amygdala, the reactive, emotional part. One makes you sound measured and thoughtful. The other makes you sound defensive and impulsive. Same situation, completely different perception. Think of the pause like the period at the end of a sentence. It gives your words weight. Finality. It tells the room that what you're about to say was worth waiting for. And if you're worried people will think you're slow, they won't. They'll think you're thoughtful. There's a massive difference, and people can feel it instantly. 3 seconds. That's the entire habit. But the respect it builds? That lasts. Habit number 2. Maintain eye contact 70% of the time. Most people get eye contact completely wrong in one of two directions. Either they stare too intensely, holding eye contact without breaking it, which starts to feel uncomfortable and aggressive within seconds, or they constantly look away, at the floor, at their phone, at anything else, which reads as disinterest, dishonesty, or low confidence. Neither works. There's a third option, and it's backed by neuroscience. 70%. That's the sweet spot. Maintain eye contact roughly 70% of the time during a conversation, and something shifts in how people perceive you. Harvard research on nonverbal communication consistently identifies appropriate eye contact as the single strongest predictor of perceived confidence and credibility in professional settings, in social situations, across cultures. Here's why it works at a neurological level. When you hold eye contact at the right frequency, both people's brains release oxytocin, the bonding and trust chemical. You're not just making someone feel acknowledged. You're literally triggering a biological response that makes them feel connected to you and safe around you. That feeling gets attached to you. They respect you without knowing exactly why. Now, if direct eye contact feels intense or uncomfortable, especially for shy or introverted people, here's a practical workaround. Look at the bridge of someone's nose or their eyebrows. From their perspective, it looks identical to direct eye contact. Same effect, none of the discomfort. This isn't about being extroverted. It's not a personality thing. It's a skill, and like every skill, it gets easier with practice. Think of eye contact as a handshake for your attention. It tells someone, I see you. I'm here. You matter enough for my full presence. And people respect the ones who make them feel that way. Habit number 3, never apologize for having an opinion. Pay attention to how people start their sentences in meetings, conversations, and group discussions. You'll start noticing a pattern almost immediately. I might be wrong, but this is probably a stupid idea, but I'm not sure if this makes sense, but, and before the actual thought even arrives, it's already been dismissed. Not by the room, by the person saying it. This is called hedging language, and linguistic research shows it reduces perceived credibility by up to 35%, even when the content being delivered is identical. Same idea, same words, different framing, and people rate the hedged version as significantly less authoritative, less intelligent, and less worth listening to. Most people apologize before they even finish their sentence. Respected people own their perspective without a disclaimer attached. Here's what that looks like in practice. Instead of, I'm not sure if this makes sense, but maybe we could try a different approach, say, here's what I think we should try. Instead of, I might be wrong, but I feel like, say, here's how I see it. Instead of prefacing a question with this is probably a dumb thing to ask, just ask the question. Cleanly, directly. Now here's the fear most people have. What if I'm actually wrong? Here's the truth. Being wrong with conviction earns more respect than being right while constantly apologizing. People respect certainty, even imperfect certainty, far more than they respect accuracy wrapped in self-doubt. Your opinion is your intellectual signature. Don't smudge it with apologies before anyone even gets a chance to read it. When you speak like someone who believes what they're saying, people start believing it too. More importantly, they start believing in. Habit number 4. Do what you say you'll do 100% of the time. This habit doesn't require talent. It doesn't require intelligence, charisma, or any personality trait you may or may not have been born with. It just requires one thing: doing exactly what you said you'd do. Organizational psychology gives us a simple but brutal equation. Competence plus reliability equals respect. And here's the part that most people miss. If reliability is missing, competence becomes almost irrelevant. You can be the smartest, most skilled person in the room, but if people can't count on you to follow through, they won't respect you. They'll manage around you instead. Most people overpromise and underdeliver. They say yes to everything in the moment because it feels good to seem capable and willing. Then life happens, they drop the ball, and they wonder why people stop taking them seriously. Respected people do the opposite. They underpromise and overdeliver every single time. The micro applications of this habit are everywhere. If you say you'll send something by Friday, send it Thursday. If you say you'll call someone back, call them back that same day. If you say you'll be somewhere at 3 p.m., be there at 2:55. These aren't grand gestures. They're tiny, consistent signals that tell people, my word means something. And the compounding effect works in both directions. One broken promise erases 10 kept ones in someone's memory. But consistent follow-through? It builds a reputation that opens rooms before you even walk into them. If something genuinely comes up, renegotiate immediately. Transparently. Don't disappear. Don't make excuses after the fact. Don't hope nobody notices. Your word is your currency in every relationship you'll ever have. Spend it carelessly, and you'll go bankrupt faster than you think. Habit number 5. Master the art of saying no without guilt. This is the one. Right here. If there's a single habit on this entire list that will change how people treat you, and more importantly, how you see yourself, it's this one. And I'll be honest, it took me a long time to actually get it. Not just understand it intellectually, but actually live it. And when I finally did, everything shifted. How people approached me, how much they valued my time, how I showed up in every room I walked into. The habit is learning to say no, clearly, kindly, and without guilt. Here's the paradox most people never figure out. When you say yes to everything, people don't respect you more. They respect you less. Because your time starts to feel like it costs nothing. And things that cost nothing get treated as if they're worth nothing. But when you say no, strategically, purposefully, your yes becomes genuinely valuable. People start to understand that when you commit, you mean it. That your time and attention are finite resources you choose carefully. And that changes everything about how they treat you. Research from organizational behavior studies backs this up. Leaders who decline requests approximately 60% of the time are rated significantly higher in perceived competence, confidence, and overall value than those who say yes the vast majority of the time. Availability, it turns out, is not the same as value. Here's the exact framework you can use starting today. I appreciate you thinking of me, but I can't commit to that right now. That's it. No lengthy explanation. No guilt-driven justification. No 3-paragraph apology. Just clear, calm, kind clarity. Because here's what people think when you over-explain a no. They think you're not sure about it. And if you're not sure, maybe they can change your mind. Brevity signals conviction. The fear most people carry around this habit is that they'll seem selfish, difficult, cold. But here's what actually happens. People respect clarity. They respect someone who knows their limits and isn't afraid to name them. What they don't respect, what quietly erodes your standing over time, is someone who says yes and then resents it, or worse, doesn't follow through. Think about it this way. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't matter, you are saying no to something that does, including your own energy, your own priorities, and your own self-respect. This habit isn't just about protecting your calendar. It's about signaling to everyone around you and to yourself that you have standards, that your presence means something, that you are someone who chooses intentionally rather than someone who just reacts to whatever lands in front of them. When you protect your time and energy consistently, people stop seeing you as available. They start seeing you as valuable. And that one shift, that single change in perception, is the foundation everything else on this list is built on. Habit number 6, listen more than you speak. Here's something most people get completely backwards about respect. They think the way to earn it is to talk more, share more, demonstrate knowledge, fill silence, make sure their voice is heard. And so they walk into conversations ready to perform, waiting for a gap where they can insert their point, their story, their experience. But respected people aren't the loudest voices in the room. They're often the quietest, and somehow, when they do speak, everyone listens. The rule is simple: listen 70% of the time. Speak 30%. Communication and influence research consistently shows that active listeners are perceived as more intelligent, more trustworthy, and more competent, even when they contribute significantly less to a conversation than those around them. Not because they're saying smarter things, because they're making people feel something the talkers aren't, genuinely heard. There's a neurological reason this works. When someone feels truly listened to, not just tolerated, but actually understood, their brain releases dopamine. That positive feeling gets associated with you. They don't always know why they like being around you. They just know they do. And they come back. In practice, this habit looks like asking follow-up questions instead of redirecting to yourself. It looks like paraphrasing what someone said before you respond. It looks like letting a thought fully land before you react to it. It looks like maintaining eye contact while someone else is talking instead of mentally rehearsing your next sentence. The objection people have is predictable. Won't people think I have nothing to say? No, they'll think every word you say was worth saying. Because in a world full of people performing for each other, the person who actually listens becomes the rarest and most respected person in the room. Your ears are the most powerful respect-building tools you have. Most people never use them properly. Habit number 7, admit when you don't know something. And here it is. Habit number 7, The one I told you to wait for. And I know, on the surface, it might not look like the game changer I promised. But stay with me, because this one works at a level the others don't. This one changes how people trust you, not just how they see you. The habit is this: when you don't know something, say so. Clearly, confidently, without flinching. Not "I think it might be." When you're guessing, not a vague deflection, not a confident-sounding answer you half-invented on the spot. Just 3 words: "I don't know." Insecure people fake it. They bluff, they speculate, they speak with authority on things they barely understand, because they're terrified that admitting a gap will make them look incompetent. And for a moment, it might work. Until it doesn't. Until they're caught. And when that happens, everything they've said before gets quietly called into question. Credibility, once cracked, is extraordinarily difficult to rebuild. Leadership research tells a different story about what actually earns trust. Leaders who openly acknowledge uncertainty, who say, "I don't know, but I'll find out," are trusted up to 50% more than those who project total certainty on everything. Because people aren't looking for someone who knows everything. They're looking for someone who won't lie to them. The phrases are simple. "I don't know, but I'll find out and get back to you." "That's outside my expertise. What do you think?" These aren't signs of weakness. They're signals of intellectual honesty, and people feel the difference immediately. Here's the reframe that makes this habit click. Real confidence isn't knowing everything. It's being completely comfortable with what you don't know. It's having enough security in yourself that you don't need to perform omniscience for the people around you. When you stop pretending, people start trusting. And trust, deep, earned, unshakable trust, is the highest form of respect there is. 7 habits. That's all this was. Not a personality overhaul. Not years of therapy or expensive coaching or pretending to be someone you're not. Just 7 small, consistent, intentional behaviors, practiced daily, that quietly reshape how every room you walk into receives you. But here's what I want you to understand before you close this video. These habits aren't just things you do. They're votes. Every time you pause before speaking, you're casting a vote. Every time you hold eye contact, own your opinion, follow through on your word, say no without guilt, listen fully, or admit what you don't know, you're voting for the kind of person you're becoming. James Clear calls this identity-based change. And the principle is simple. Every action you take is either reinforcing or contradicting who you believe yourself to be. Do these habits long enough, and they stop being habits. They become you. So here's the statement I want you to carry with you. I am the kind of person people respect because I respect myself first. That's the thread connecting all 7. Not performance, not strategy. Self-respect, expressed through how you speak, how you listen, how you show up, and how you protect your own time and energy. Respect isn't something you chase. It's something you become. Starting today, you're not trying to earn it anymore. You're becoming someone who naturally, inevitably commands it. That's the shift. Now go become that person.